Alright, what's up guys? This is Brad and Despite Fitness. So today I want to make another video and talk a little bit about training partners or lifting partners. And hopefully give you kind of some insight about some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks of having a lifting partner. And this video is predominantly meant for young lifters, guys that are new to the game and kind of trying to figure out what to do. So hopefully this is a little bit of help for you. So in terms of lifting partners, whether you have a single person or a couple people, one of the nice things about having a lifting partner is you have a built-in spotter who's right there, ready to help you out for whatever your attempts are. The nice part about that is when you have somebody that's right there with you to spot you, you can kind of seamlessly move into your sets and your attempts. And you're not waiting on other people, trying to bug the guy across the gym to help you out or whatever it might be. You got somebody that's right there, kind of helping push you on, that is ready to rock. The other nice thing about having somebody that's consistent with your spotting is that spotting can be kind of a temperamental thing. So most people have a setup. They perform that setup pretty much the same way every single time. So you want a spotter that knows what that's going to look like. Knows how to give you a lift off on the bench, knows how you're going to set up on the squat. It isn't jumping in prematurely, grabbing a weight that you're not ready to be grabbed on. Either in the setup or the execution. So having that built-in spotter is phenomenal for having a lifting partner. So it's one great reason to have a training partner. The other thing is having accountability. So by that I mean you're lifting with somebody else and the two of you kind of know what the plan is. You know when you're supposed to be there at the gym. You know when you're supposed to train. So when you have somebody else that's there with you, kind of waiting on you or is there to do it with you, it's not as easy to slough off on your workouts. When you're doing it all by yourself, it can be pretty easy to say, I'm not going to go in today. I'm not feeling good. Or you can cut some workouts short. Well, I'm not going to hit quite as many sets today because I'm not feeling up to it or whatever. When you have a training partner that's there kind of with you, they hold you accountable for what you're supposed to be doing. So show up on time. Hit all the stuff that you're meant to hit. Especially if they're tracking the program, you guys are kind of lockstep with your training. They're right there with you, kind of demanding that you hit what you're supposed to be hitting. Another thing is motivation. So when you have a training partner that's there with you, it's somebody that's kind of your built-in hype man. They can help pump you up and get you ready and get you motivated for making attempts. Some same kind of way with having the spot. Having that spot, that safety there would give you the confidence to maybe try something, try a new weight or an extra rep or something like that, where you might not be confident if you didn't have that spotter. Same thing with the motivation. You got somebody there that's kind of rooting you on, pumping you up, kind of challenging you to rise to your best. So having a lifting partner there is really important for that motivation piece as well. It can kind of help you hit new heights in your training. There's experience. So whether it's you have one training partner or you train with a group of people, there's experience there. It's good to have somebody that's more experienced than you are. So if you're a young lifter kind of coming into the game, look around the gym, see who kind of knows what they're doing, see who is a powerlifter, who competes and all that stuff. They shouldn't be hard to spot, and get in with those guys and start picking their brains, because what they know can kind of help take you to new heights. And especially if you have a group, anytime that you're with a group, more than likely there's going to be some more experienced lifters within that group, and they can kind of help guide you and mentor you, so you can kind of get your feet wet and know what you're doing, and start to build up your own experience base within the lifting community, whether that be, powerlifting or some other kind of focus. One great benefit for having a lifting partner is the friendship, or even kind of like a bromance. Training partners tend to become very, very, very close with each other. Spend a lot of time, sometimes both in and out of the gym. And that could be a great thing. Building up that relationship and somebody that kind of knows you, and you have that opportunity to kind of escape from what your normal life is, or your day-to-day kind of stuff, and explain stresses in your life, kind of vent and all that other stuff, and joke back and forth. Say some things that your mom would be ashamed of, and that kind of stuff. And in that environment, that's great. It's all fair game. So that's one of the great benefits of having that training partner, is that friendship, the bromance. Those relationships tend to kind of burn hot. So in that vein, there can be a dark side to that too, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Having a training partner also brings in goals. So especially if you and your partner are on the same page and you guys are kind of striving to achieve the same things, you guys can keep each other honest on what your goals are. Hey, I want to bench, whatever X amount by, this time next year or whatever. That having that training partner that's consistent and always there can kind of keep you on the right for, getting to where you said you wanted to be. And especially if you're kind of falling short of that, hopefully they can kind of get after you. Which kind of brings in my next point of the honesty and camaraderie that comes along with having a training partner. So when you have somebody that's there with you, lockstep, doing the same things that you're doing, they can tend to keep you honest and hold you accountable for what you're doing. So if you're slipping on your diet, you're not doing the things that you need to be doing intake wise, they can get on you there. If you're not doing the number of sets and reps that you should be doing, you're cutting your workout short or whatever, again, they can kind of hold you accountable. So having that honest broker that's there with you while you're training can really make a big difference. And all of these things together are kind of combined for this this very nice package of somebody that's there to support you and help you out, and can really take your training to a new level. So if you have the opportunity to kind of lock in with a training partner or a group of people, I highly recommend it. Now to kind of talk about the dark side of having a lifting partner is kind of the converse of some of the stuff that we already talked about. So with training partners can come some amount of drama. Anytime that you share time and space with other people, there's bound to be friction, and sometimes that friction kind of builds up or festers. So if you don't have a kind of open, honest relationship with whoever your training partner is, and you can kind of just get stuff off your chest and vent it out and have it be cool, you may find a situation where things just kind of fester and build up, and that's never a healthy situation, especially when it comes to your lifting or whatever training that you're going through, because it can create drama, and that drama can really detract from what your goals are. So with that drama also comes tension, right? So when you have a lot of tension between you and your training partner, so things are going unsaid, maybe he or she skipping workouts and kind of cutting corners and things like that, you're getting fed up and don't say something, or vice versa. That whole environment can kind of create a witch's brew of just bad mojo that can really affect both you and your training partner or partners. That can really build up, especially when you're dealing with more than one person. Conflicting schedules is another thing. So, it's hard enough getting yourself to the gym on any given day, with whether you're dealing with your work schedule, you're dealing with family, you're dealing with school, whatever it is, whatever your particular situation is, there's oftentimes things that come up that you didn't necessarily anticipate that can detract from, getting to the gym on time. It only gets worse as you get older. So as you get a little bit older, and you start accepting more responsibilities and shouldering more responsibilities, it can become much more complicated, working out your schedule. That is compounded when you bring in more people into the situation. So if you have just one training partner, they have their own schedule, they have their own issues and things that they're always trying to work through as well. So it can be sometimes very difficult to get your schedules to line up with one another so that you're able to do things with each other and train at the same time. Aside from training at the same time, it's also sometimes difficult to get two people on the same page as far as goals go. So that conflicting schedule can also be, your workout routine and what it is, the type of training that you're doing. You may be a West Side Conjugate kind of a style guy or gal, and your training partner might be following Juggernaut, something along those lines. So it's often best if both of you can kind of be on the same schedule, both time wise and whatever your programming is, because it's just easier to kind of fall in step with each other and kind of do the same thing. That becomes less of an issue if you have a group of people, because then if you have a group of people, someone can always kind of round robin and support other people as they kind of do their workouts. So if you have a group of people, it's not quite as important to always be on the same thing or doing the same plan, because as long as you guys are coming together at roughly the same time, everyone can support one another, and then you still get kind of all the same benefits. One thing that I experienced, very significantly in my life fairly recently was negativity, or kind of a too much competition kind of thing, like too many alphas in the room, kind of a situation. So recently I had a couple of guys that I trained with, not necessarily, they weren't my training partners, but they were always kind of there, helping out and assisting. And the attitude that they brought to the environment was just flat out unhealthy. It bothered me, the things that they would say to me and my training partner, and they just kind of always hung around. And for a little while, they were helping out with some programming, doing some stuff like that. So there was some benefit to having them there. Also, they provided a lot of spots. So they were there to just kind of support me when I was going for big lifts. That's all well and good, but everything else that they did brought a lot of negativity to the situation, and it was unhealthy. I didn't like it. It bothered me. It never sat well with me. And finally, that negativity and those issues, that alpha kind of mentality, bothered me to the point where I just cut Sling Load and said, "Hey, this is it. I don't want this anymore. We're done." In fact, I told him goodbye and never said another word to him. That's kind of how I handled that situation. Maybe I could have handled it differently. But the bottom line for me is, as I assessed the situation, to my mind, there was no healthy way to kind of get things right. And I had a feeling that any way that I tried to approach the situation would just kind of degrade into cattiness, into whatever. And so I made the decision that I just needed to stop things where they were and take a couple steps back and go do my own thing for a while. And it ended up working out. All my numbers started going up. Some of my injuries and some of the things that were going on with me started to dissipate. And so since I took a break from those individuals, my training personally went through the roof. What you guys need to understand is that no one is going to have your best interests in mind the same way that you will. So whatever it's going to take for you to kind of get where you need to be that final decision maker about what you want to do and where you want to go. You don't necessarily owe anybody anything. So the same situation where I was working with these guys for a period of time, yes, I considered them friends, and yes, they've been around and done a lot of really good things and helped me out a lot, but at the same time, they were also the problem. And so when it came push to shove, I decided that my goals were more important. What I wanted to do was more important than sacrificing my time and energy, having to put up with what they were doing. So that's where I made my break. And at some point in time, you may find the same thing too. Now, if you have a training partner, maybe your schedules just completely diverge. Maybe that training partner has to move. There's a number of life situations that kind of come in that can affect the status of your training relationship. And you just have to be fluid with it. You have to accept things as they come, and just look to the future and try to keep your eye on what the goal is. And the goal is hopefully to train and get as big and as strong as you can get, achieve some objective, whether it's the meet 3 months from now, or you want to take a stab at nationals or worlds or whatever it's going to be. But at some point in time, you got to make a decision about what your goals are and kind of do what's best for you. So with that, I said, having a group of people to train with is sometimes best. When I first got into lifting, when I was 16, 17, I walked into a local powerhouse and I was interested in getting bigger and stronger, and I wanted to ask some questions. And there was a guy behind the counter. I asked him a lot of questions about this, that, or the other, and eventually he referred me to a group of guys that came in that were powerlifters. And so he just kind of pointed me in the direction and said, "Hey, you really need to talk to this guy." And so at some point in time, I approached them and just said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm looking to do. Would you mind helping me out?" And they accepted me with open arms and started teaching me the ropes of powerlifting and training and programming and all that stuff. And I stuck with those guys for many years, and it was a great experience for me. So if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend finding a group of people that you can kind of lock in with and work alongside. It'll make a big difference in your training and can really teach you quite a lot. I know that if you're here in the Northwest Florida area, there's a gym called The Bar in Milton, and it's a great environment. There's a lot of great lifters there that are willing to help out newcomers and old timers alike. Anyone that has the interest of kind of coming in and trying to improve themselves and get serious about powerlifting, there's a whole crew of guys there that are willing to help and support. And I'm sure if you're not in the Northwest Florida area, you can find something that's similar to where you live. You jump on the internet, you do some searching, you might be able to find a community page or something like that, a local powerlifters that you can kind of lock in with and learn. That's probably my number one recommendation for new lifters is find lifters to train with that are a little bit more experienced from you. And then as you move forward, you'll find that having a training partner really opens up new thresholds for your own training. It's particularly effective when you have somebody that's bigger and stronger and more knowledgeable than you. Having a training partner like that tends to really inspire a lot of growth and a lot of development from you. Whereas if you're by yourself, you just kind of do the same thing that you've always done. You don't really branch out. You don't really try anything new. So therefore, you don't ever really grow. You just kind of stay stagnant. But if you do have a training partner that happens to be younger, less experienced, or even weaker than you, there can still be quite a lot of benefit that comes from that as well. It just tends to be that the weaker lifter benefits a little bit more from the relationship. But you always want a training partnership or training relationship to be symbiotic in nature. Kind of give and take between both parties or all parties involved. That's really critical. You want to make sure that it's a give and take, and that it's not just one person kind of giving everything. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that's giving you some idea about what you need to do in terms of how to meet some people and get some training, and gives you some answers about what it means to have a training partner. All right, guys, that's the video. I hope it helped. If you stuck around and you watched it this long, don't just hit the like button. Smash that shit. Give me a subscribe, and if you know anybody that's strong, that lifts, that I don't know, share the video with them. Maybe it'll help. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Brad_Arbic. You can ask me any questions below. I'd love to get back with you. Or you can follow me and hit me up on Instagram as well. If you guys have any questions, like I said, I'm all ears. No matter what you have going on in your life, you make sure that you're taking your training seriously and you're leaning forward with what you got going on. No matter what you have bringing you down, always remember, train despite.